respected Sadhguru, Her Royal Highness Princess Noor of Jordan, board members of IWEC Foundation, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar and welcome to this exclusive interaction with Sadhguru. Sadhguru, on behalf of IWEC, I'm joined by Princess Noor in offering our sincere thanks for considering our request to address our members in this annual virtual IWEC conference of 2020. This conference brings together the businesswomen and professionals from across 40 countries. Sadhguru, as women leaders, it is crucial for us to understand our role in the post-COVID era. And this does include demonstrating extremely complex qualities such as empathy, sympathy, and compassion. On behalf of IWEC, I and Princess Noor will need your guidance to understand the key to be more effective as women business leaders. And now let me invite Noor for the interaction further. Noor, over to you.
Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Harjinder, for your words. Sadhguru, I am a lifetime student of your teachings, and it's such an honor to connect with you today.
Wonderful.
I would primarily
be talking to you. Wonderful.
It's lovely. This is the advantage of the virtual world.
Yes, isn't it?
I would like to thank my fellow IWEC members and participants. This is the third year I'm a chairwoman. And honestly, I'm in awe of the growth and learning opportunities that are shared with us. In preparation for our meeting today, we have heard that you've been up to many, many adventures, that you're currently in the US and you're traveling extensively on your bike and engaging with so many people. And it's such a refreshing image to visualize such playfulness, yet bringing such deep work of conscious growth and wisdom. Could you just give us a little insight on what this experience has been like for you so far?
Oh, this motorcycle journey? Okay. I wouldn't think that you would be interested in motorcycles.
As a fellow biker,
oh,
it is definitely.
Okay. This was essentially billed as Exploring Spiritual America. So, there were many aspects to this. One important thing is we wanted to visit all those sites and Native American nations. When I say Native Americans, for most people in the world, maybe few Americans know the details, but for most people in the world, they know only what they have seen in the Wild West movies of a bunch of men screaming and hollering and shooting whoever comes their way kind of imagery. But there used to be over 500 nations, Native American nations in North America. And even today, they are maintaining their distinct identities, they have their own language, they have their own culture, they have their own individual spiritual processes. So, I thought this must come forth because about 18 years ago, I had a very profound and very painful experience with one of the Native American spirits. I was just walking in the forest and I saw, a kind of a frozen being. And at that time, I wrote this poem called America, I will send it to you. And after that, I've been looking them up. Even I did not know there were so many nations. Even in our minds, well, we had heard names like Cherokee, Apache, Comanche, like this in the movies. But beyond that, even I did not know. So I started exploring this, and I've been wanting to do this for some time, but it took the virus to break my schedule so that I could go on this trip. So it has been 36 days, we just got back day before yesterday. 36 days we've been on the road. We did 9,477 miles on the motorcycle.
That's fascinating.
Covered various nations, about 18 states through United States, and it's been absolutely spectacular. and we are… all the… like almost every day, 16, 18 hours, the video cameras have been on. So to assimilate all this and to put this out, it may take 2 to 3 months for us. But the important thing is for people to know that these were well-evolved cultures. There are places like Hokia where 1,000 years ago, 40,000 people lived in one city. Just to give you a perspective, at that time in London, there were only 15,000 people. There were 40,000 people. 40,000 people living in a city means there is an organization, there is an administration, there is a whole process. Otherwise you cannot… so many people cannot live in one place. So similarly, there are very powerful spiritual spaces, and the level of attention they gave to their inner well-being, what they call as their spirit, rather than their physical life, is something that modern societies have to emulate, because the only way that we can make this into a sustainable world for all of us is that our interests are more beyond physical nature. That is the only way we can do it. If it becomes all physical, we're just ripping the planet apart. And also coming to that aspect, see, right now, for most people, educated people at least, ecology means it's a textbook, it's an abstract science somewhere. These are the people for whom ecology lived in their hearts. This is what needs to happen for this generation and the next generation. These people did not live on the land, they are the land. And you and me are also land, all right? This body is just soil. But most people don't get it till you bury them. But these are people who lived with this awareness. I think this is most relevant for today's life. So in many ways, we are trying to put out what the different nations or the different tribes, like believed in and how they lived. But one common ethos is their fondness for earth, because this is a earthy culture. This is not a heaven-bound culture. This is about living life here fully. This is not about going somewhere else and living better. So I think it's most relevant for today's world. It is just the presentation of how it is presented. People may not be able to digest as to how they presented. So I'm seeing how it could be presented in modern language, in modern context, but fundamentally it's very relevant for our generations and the generations to come, actually. So it's been a spectacular ride in terms of sights, and what we have experienced in the last 36 days is absolutely incredible, and as a biker, you know.
It is definitely a wonderful experience, and highlighting what you've just mentioned and echoing your messaging, it is, I believe, the collective experience of the virus that has really stopped and invited people to reflect on the importance of reconnecting with Earth. And in terms of being able to embody qualities such as resilience on such hard times and challenging times, what could you share in terms of practical steps that we can be able to experience right now once we finish our conversation together? You know, how is it that we could very simplistically just have that little step towards getting a bit closer?
Because people have very little experience of living on this earth. The moment these four walls came around us, we have no experience of life. We are living in a cell of our own, where temperature is controlled at whatever temperature we want, and we have no seasons, we have no flowers blossoming, we don't have any experience of life. There is no sunlight, there's no moonlight, everything is, LED or whatever it is. So I'm saying living indoors is one of the main reasons why people have forgotten what is nature. One significant step that everybody must do is, instead of… I'm not against all these things, but I'm just saying, because today, one of the most visited holiday places in the country, in United States, is Vegas. Las Vegas is the most visited one. Next comes Florida. Well, there is Dubai, there is Mumbai, there is these kind of things. This is where people are taking their children. I would
Yes.
say every week, at least one day, if you go out and sleep under the stars, if you go out and make them experience life the way it is, understanding that every other creature who crawls and walks and slides around on this planet have a significant role to play in the making of this earth. Why I'm saying this is, in the last 50 years, 70% of the vertebrate life has been exterminated. 70%. And they are saying by the end of this century, 80% of the insect population could go. If insect population goes, we cannot grow anything, our lives will go. Mass deaths of human beings will happen if all the insects die. Every day we are slaughtering over 200 million animals, okay? We don't need that much for food. We're just slaughtering them because everything is done in excess. Because we are not seeing other life as life. We are thinking only if it's in the human form, it's life. Rest is not life and they have no right to live. Unfortunately, such lessons have been taught to people in certain cultures that every other life is here to serve you. Please just go and observe an ant or a bee or any other creature on the planet. They have a complete life of their own. They have no interest in serving you. Well, they live in such a way that they're eco-friendly and it may serve us, that's a different matter. But they have no intention of serving us, they have a full-fledged life of their own. I've spent enormous amount of time in the jungles in India, in the, in rainforests in India. Every small life has a complete life of its own and it doesn't think a damn about us. But we are thinking we are the center of the universe, which has caused too much damage. I think being exposed to nature, the next generation of people, if they're little more exposed to nature, if we build homes, at least where a part of it is open, open to sky, it's very important. We are promoting this everywhere in India now, and all old designs of homes used to be like this. A part of the house used to be open to sky. It would rain inside. Even today in my house, it rains inside. My daughter who grew up in this house always says that is the most spectacular thing, that inside the house there used to be pouring monsoon rains, because children need to experience this. Just living in four walls is completely destroying our idea and our sensibility towards earth and other life.
Thank you so much. Harjinder, I believe you'd like to step in.
Thank you, Noor. Sadhguru, a Ducati riding guru is a rare sight. Besides riding a Ducati, you also drive luxury cars, you fly choppers, you play golf, you are a football fan, you are perhaps the most stylish mystic. We often are confused, but because we intertwine spirituality and minimalistic life. How do you define spirituality?
Anyway, let me correct this, I don't like luxury cars, I like cars or any machine that works well. Because a mystic means he is a mechanic who understands the mechanics of life. Well, isn't this true that this mechanism, which we call as human mechanism, is the most sophisticated, complex machine which works very smoothly, it organizes itself, it creates itself, and it maintains itself all the time unless you do something nasty with it. So I'm interested in anything that works seamlessly. Luxury cars, no, I never drove any of them. But about these things, you mentioned motorcycle and a helicopter and this and that and golf, whatever. Well, I do many more things that people may not be aware of. I would like to do almost everything if I had the time. But the important reason why this is necessary and why we are even putting out some of the personal aspects of my life outside is because people's understanding of spirituality right now is, if you eat badly, dress badly and live badly, you must be spiritual. So no wonder nobody wants to be spiritual. Spiritual means it happened 1,000 years ago. I must tell you this, I was in Chennai and I had to go into a conference and normally I drive myself because